Hello there, and welcome back to Celtic World Order podcast. I'm Paddy Boy, and as you can see, I am joined by the other baldy brother, Stephen. Good to see you, Stevie. How you been, my man?
Smashing, reeling them in. Had a very interesting weekend, especially on Friday night, which we'll mention to the viewers just in a minute or two. But yes, it's been a very eventful and positive weekend for once. I don't think my blood pressure got two-phased at all. So yes, been great. What about yourself?
Absolutely spot on, mate. Listen, you mentioned Friday night, and for anybody who doesn't know, Friday night we did have the event for St. Augustine's Parish with Murdo MacLeod, a fundraiser for an S1 trip to Lourdes. The night went absolutely fantastic. I was hosting it myself, and I don't normally get nervous, but sitting in front of everybody, I was all right. I thought I'd done okay. Stevie was there. He'll kind of thing, but it wasn't about me. It was about Murdo, and it was about raising money for a kids' trip to Lourdes, and it went absolutely fantastic. We managed to raise over £1,000 on the night with raffles and other things like that. So listen, absolutely fantastic. And if anybody made it along, let us know if you enjoyed it and let us know your thoughts. There will be more coming up. We'll get a few more players in there and see what else we can do. But welcome back to the channel. As always, if you haven't hit the like or subscribe button, please do. What are you waiting for? We do go live on YouTube, so if you're watching on the TikTok channel, which I'm also live on as well, please head across to YouTube, get in there, hit the subscribe button. It costs you the same amount as a Celtic transfer, absolutely nothing. And you will get to see myself and Stevie, who's also on the screen as well, on the YouTube channel. And when I'm uploading pictures, you'll get to see them on there as well. So off the bat, Stevie, a great result. For us, but also a great result for Hearts. Well, not so much great result for Hearts, but a great result for us, for Hearts. So, yeah, listen, absolutely fantastic. Like you said, good weekend. Going into the game, what were you thinking? What was your initial thoughts? Obviously, Motherwell are a high-flying team at the minute. Were you as confident as what you would usually be going into a Celtic Motherwell game?
No, I don't know that I would use the word confident, because I personal opinion, I think Motherwell have been playing the best kind of football of the team, the kind of top four teams. They don't tend to concede a lot, so I was expecting a hard game. As it turned out, which we'll discuss, it kind of turned a wee bit on the kind of penalty and red card decision. But you know, beforehand, I would have been quite happy if we'd scraped a 1-0. I think I put on our chat on Saturday, you know, a kind of scrappy 1-0. 3 points was the main, because as I say, you know, Motherwell don't tend to concede a lot of goals, but as the game progressed, I thought we played really well, deserved to win the game. So yeah, it kind of set me up for a good Saturday night out with the missus.
Yeah, listen, exactly, mate. Motherwell don't concede a lot of goals, and like you said, we can go into games expecting to win them 3-0, 4-0 or whatever, but listen, you would always take a result. I don't care if it comes off a defender's arse and goes into the back of the net, mate. I'm quite happy just to accept the result. So let's have a wee look at our lineups going into it, Stevie. Wasn't many big surprises. You've got Sinisalo in goals, who we'll get down to. I think had a relatively good game. You've got Donovan, Arthur, Scales, Tierney, Hatate, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Nigrin, Yang, Tenetke, and Maida. So the notable one missing there, obviously, for myself was Julien Araujo. But as far as I'm led to believe, Julien Araujo's missus has given birth to a child. I don't know if it's a boy or a girl. I'm sure that people in the chat will let us know. But yeah, as far as I'm aware, that's what had happened. Obviously, we hadn't heard anything coming out of Celtic, and I'm just kind of going by what I've seen. I've seen a picture of Julien Araujo with a pram standing on a hill in Glasgow. Could have been AI, could have been a lot of shite. I don't know. But listen, I seen a photo, so I'm diving all over it, and I'm putting that out there. He's no injured. He's no been dropped because he was swinging for the ceiling of Wunderbar. He's all right. His wife's just had a wean. That's what I'm going for. So it was a wee boy.
If that's the case, congratulations to them both. Yeah,
They've had a wee boy. Somebody's came straight in on the TikTok there. Life Juggler said they had a wee boy and they've called him Angelo Jude. So welcome to the world, Angelo Jude. I hope you are a Celtic fan for life because it looks like your big Daz, and I hope that you being born here makes him want to stay for another 20 years.
Absolutely. Yes, that's it. That's the tie to the club now. That's it. Born in Scotland, probably in the, I don't know, maybe the Queen Elizabeth or something like that. But
probably,
no, congratulations, great news to him. Yeah, as I say, it was a surprise when I saw the lineup and he wasn't even included in the subs bench. As you say, there hadn't been any kind of whispers about why on Saturday morning, but it was. The rest of it was good to have Tierney back. That was a positive anyway going into the game.
Yeah, listen, 100%, mate. And obviously Sinisalo keeps his place. I seen a thing as well. Kasper Schmeichel has resigned himself from the fact that he's not going to be in the Danish World Cup squad. So again, that's a man who knows his limitations. I think the last wee while, obviously, I don't like how it ended for him, getting booed at Parkhead and everything else. I never want to see a Celtic player get booed, regardless of how shit they've been. And seeing that for Kasper, a guy who's been really upstanding and a great servant to the club, I don't want to see that. So I think he's took a wee step aside and said to Viljami Sinisalo to say, listen, wee man, in you go, cement your place, and let's see what you can do. And I think, listen, the wee man's came in there. He's been pretty decent. And for me, I think he has cemented his place in that squad. Would you think, Stevie?
Yeah, absolutely. I read a kind of a short interview with Kasper, and I think Martin made mention of it as well, where they finally admitted that the Kasper injury he has had for a good number of months now, kind of between 4 and 6 months. I think we could all see that when we were watching Kasper's performances, that there were certain types of shots that he wasn't dealing with as you would normally. So you knew that there was something there. But as you've correctly said, the guy's the number one pick. He keeps his position until he can't play anymore because of the injury. He'd been having to get injections in it as well. And I think he mentioned the fact that on one of the injections, they'd hit a nerve and that had kind of made it a wee bit worse. So the last couple of weeks when they said he was sick, that's probably the reason, because, injections into bones and stuff. I had a kind of an old friend that used to have to get that on occasion, and they're not nice. The bloody needles about yawn size, sticking it in. So yeah, I mean, if it is, thanks very much. If he never plays in the first team squad again because of the injury, thanks very much for everything that you've done for the club. You look back over his career as a whole, definitely deserves every plaudit that he gets. But we're moving on now with Sinisalo. In the games he's played, he hasn't made any kind of major mess ups. So yeah, it's him to continue this vein of form and make sure he keeps his place. We've got now 8 games remaining. So if he's the one that steps up as the last line of defence, then fair play to him.
Yeah, that's that exactly, and it's nice to see a keeper who commands his box, comes out, takes crosses, and he seems quite vocal. He seems quite confident as well, which was something that I thought he lacked previously. And obviously having to step in and being the number one. You spoke about Kasper obviously getting the injections into his nerves and stuff. He got on the nerves of a few Celtic fans as well, didn't he? It was,
yeah. I mean, that like any player, whether you're in goals, I think as a goalie, your mistakes are focused on a wee bit more than somebody who plays outfield, because when you're playing outfield, you've always got maybe another teammate that can dig you out a hole on occasions. But when you're the keeper and you're diving and a shot's coming off your arm, or it's going, maybe not a strong hand, or as you say, he did look the last few weeks when he was still playing reluctant to come out and claim anything in the air or even punch. So you knew there was something there. But yeah, Sinisalo, the game at Ibrox, perfect example. They were punting plenty of high balls into the air to try and catch us. He was comfortable with just about everything that came into that box. So definitely, it's good to see somebody who's going to command that box.
Exactly.
Especially the fact that over the last couple of weeks, he's not had the same defensive combination in front of him as well, with the trusty red card. He's had Scales playing there. He's had Arthur. He's had Dane Murray all playing in front of him. But he's marshalled the defence really well. So fair play to him so far.
Yeah, that's it. You mentioned it there as well, and we'll talk about the defence. Young Arthur coming in, young Benji Arthur. I thought, listen, he's come in. He's like commanding. He's decent in the air. Having him and Scales in there winning headers and not making as many mistakes as what you would expect. We're still playing out for the back. We're still doing a lot of this kind of passing about the back line and stuff. And obviously, we'll get to the Motherwell goal. We do eventually get caught out with it. But it was nice to see Arthur and Scalesy in there. And like you say, they're winning headers for crosses coming into the box. They're starting to look a wee bit more confident. And that's what you need coming into this later stage of the league season. And when you listen to guys like Brendan Rodgers, right, you might not like Brendan Rodgers, you might say what you want about him, but he was a decent manager. And when it comes to it, Brendan Rodgers always said, at this time of the season, this is when Celtic came alive. This is when when the champions mentality kicks in and you go, right, get it together, boys. This is what we need to do to get this across the line. And I think you can start to see that. The defence is looking a bit more solid. We've got a decent keeper in there. Midfield, I still think could do with tightening up a little bit and getting more players back, possibly missing McGregor in there. I know people will say that he's been lacklustre and he's been a little bit off the boil recently. But for me, Callum McGregor's one of the guys in there, and I've said it on here before, and I've came on and I've tried to defend him after shit games. He's one of these guys he's came through the ranks at Celtic. He's been there for so long, and he gets it. He's the guy who can grab a game by the scruff of the neck and just drag you back into it and get other players who aren't performing to get into that mindset that you need to give that little bit extra. And that's what I think we're missing in there just now. Even guys like Arne Engels, mate, you could pretty much go through our full squad and tell, like, obviously Kasper Schmeichel's on his day is a better keeper than Sinisalo. Carter Vickers on his day is a better defender than pretty much anyone we've got at the club at the minute. You go in there, Arne Engels, a £12 million midfielder, Belgium international. Do you know what I mean? Missing again. Alistair Johnston on the right-hand side. You could go all the way through that squad, mate, and you look and you can highlight Jota and so many different players that we've got out. So we've got all of this to come back. It's absolute madness when you start to think about what we've been missing this season and where we are. We're still sitting there. We're still in it. And I think that we can actually push on now and get this over the line. It's given me that wee confidence boost.
Absolutely.
After this weekend. But let's talk about the start. Early doors, we start off quite quick. There's a chance for Benji Negrin. The ball comes into him. I'm not sure who it is that passes it into him. I think it's Rio Hatati plays it in, and it's quite a quick pass.
Well, I think it actually comes off the Motherwell fullback. The Motherwell fullback tries to clear it, and it actually falls straight, almost to Negrin's feet. Crack on, because you were in mid flow there, but
no, listen, that's it, mate. It gets caught under his feet, and I think that when you're in the box, I don't know if it's because we've come to expect Benji Negrin to take that and just pop it right into the top corner. He always seems to take his time in the box. He's not one of these guys to hit a shot first time. So he tries to get it under control, and obviously the Motherwell defence, who not at this point, but like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, were the best defence in Europe. Get in there quick and get him dispossessed. Is it one for you? Should he do better? Are you expecting to get a bit of a pass off there or something?
As I say, I think because it kind of comes off the Motherwell fullback right to his feet. I think that's maybe why he's not expecting. I mean, we call him Mr. Right Place, Right Time, and he is where you're basically your main striker should be. He's right on that area between the defenders. There's nobody close to him. He's made that wee bit of space for himself. It comes to him, and as you say, he should at least get out his feet. Whether the keeper saves it, because he's not that far away from the keeper, but you would like to have thought he could have managed to do enough to kind of get it towards the goal and get at least make the keeper make a save, or if he gets enough on it to get it over the line. So it was quite an early chance. It would have given us that wee bit of a boost early in the game to say, right, okay, if we can get ourselves in front, it gives us something to build on.
That's it. Absolutely fantastic start, mate. And I think he should have done a bit better. But then we get another chance. Ball gets played to Oxlade-Chamberlain, takes a wee touch, takes his time, cracking shot, kind of daisy cutter they call it, and straight across the deck. I think the keeper gets a hand on it, nudges it against the post, and it's unlucky, mate. It just runs right across the line. I think half the ball might have crossed. I don't know.
I mean, it's literally, when you see it from the angle, it literally comes right across the line.
There's a small arch there, kind of near the centre of the line, where you see it possibly getting there. But listen, good save, and I think at that point we're unlucky not to be ahead in the game. Great shot by Ox, though, and that's what you want to see from him. That driving power going forward.
Good power, good accuracy. At that point, you're kind of thinking, is it going to be one of these days? We're going to have half chances, and the keeper's going to have worldies, but you're kind of starting to bite your nails at that point. Well, certainly I wasn't pulling my hair out, as you obviously, but I was starting to bite the nails and thinking, is this the way this is going to be?
Aye, no, that's it, mate. It's getting to that stage of the season where every time you want the team to start fast, settle the nerves, and get the fans behind the team and stuff like that. And I thought the fans were absolutely fantastic as well up until that point. I thought we were pushing the team forward. And trying to get that momentum going with a few early corners as well. And I want to touch on Big Benji Arthur, because normally when we get a corner swung into that box, it's just towards Liam Scales, because he's the main target that we've got. When Big Austin Trusty's on, obviously Austin's getting on the end of balls as well, but we've seen Big Benji Arthur attack a corner, get the head on it, and he's unlucky, I think. I think he doesn't anticipate it as well as what he should. I think he's already in the air as the ball's coming, and he's trying to kind of get on the end of it. And he heads it over the bar. But it's nice to see us starting to attack corners, because I've said on here so many times, Celtic will get 12 corners a game and we do nothing with them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's nice to see the big man get on the end of a couple of corners.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really, as you say, what you want to see, and is you want to see different players being on the end of that. Good movement. Gets himself across the front of. I can't remember who it was that was marking him, but as you say, I think he just managed to get. He was up a wee bit before, so I don't know if he's maybe starting to come down a wee bit just as the ball meets his head, but it wasn't that far away. We've seen him, heading and being well over the bar, like a kind of Gassama penalty or something like that. But it's kind of good to see. It was a good delivery, good amount of pace on it. So all he's really got to do is worry about his direction on it, and so it wasn't very far away. It was good, as you say. It gave the crowd plenty to get behind and say, right, we're moving this forward. We're being positive. We're playing well. Keep it going. Keep it going. And then we get to the next bit.
Yeah, listen, mate, that's it. And one of the guys in the TikTok there as well saying, is it time to get a set piece coach? Because that's something that other clubs have tried. And if you look at the league stats for who scores from set pieces and stuff, Rangers and Hearts are way up there. Mm-hmm. And that's not just down to luck, it's down to having a set piece coach and having somebody who's basically driving these situations and saying, right, you need to be here, you need to be doing this, blah, 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 blah. Celtic have got a good setup coaching-wise, but that's something that I think we would do fantastic from, considering the amount of chances that we make.
Oh yes, but as you say, it is a specialism now. I was reading an article just about Arsenal and how they have basically revolutionised, the kind of set piece down south in the Premier League. Now, being honest, it's a much higher quality league than we've got up here with quality defenders. And if they're scoring the number of goals from set pieces that they are, it obviously shows you that they are doing something right. So, yeah, as you say, if we can if we can do better or score more goals, shall we say, from set pieces and defend set pieces better, that's more of an issue for me. I don't think we defend set pieces particularly well. So yeah, if that specialism comes in, and you base it on the results. Are we scoring more? Are we conceding less? Take it from there.
That's it. And I think having that set piece coach, I don't think it's just going to be a set piece coach for going forward. I think it is going to be an all rounder where it's how to defend the set piece and how to do something else like that. So I think that's something that going forward Celtic should really be looking at, because like I said, we concede so many goals for balls into the box, and we don't score as many at the other side from the amount that we create. I'll get down to the goal that we did concede against Motherwell. So Arthur, back to Sinisalo out towards Rio Hatate. He tries to do his wee turn, his wee pivot that he's famous for. Gets caught on the ball. Good pressing from Motherwell. Don't get me wrong, but I think Hatate's got to be aware of his position in there. I think he's too nonchalant on the ball. I think he's trying to be too cool, too calm, and loses possession. Motherwell get the ball out to the winger. Is it Isaiah or whatever his name was? It's a great finish. And 1-0 down after having all the possession, all the shots, having Motherwell on the back foot, and straight away you find yourself behind. At that point, Stevie, did you think, here we go again?
Yeah, as I said earlier, you're kind of thinking, oh, this is going to be one of these days. I thought when Sinisalo got the ball, I would have thought that the more obvious or the easier pass should have been out, keep it going out left to Liam, because Liam was out in a bit of space, a bit wider. So if he loses the ball out there, it's not a straight in and top as it was. Because obviously, Rio's back to, he's not Calmac, so he's not going to come in there and be as comfortable on the ball. And I don't think anybody gave him the shout to say, listen, this guy's, busting a gut to get in behind you and try and nick that off you. So I thought there was a couple of different things. The ball comes across to the lad Just, and again, a very cool and calm, accurate finish into the bottom corner. Sinisalo, wasn't going to get near it. It was accuracy and a wee bit of power that beat him. So yeah, as I say, going back to this, this is the day it's going to be. We've had pressure, we've had chances up to this point, and we've just given a quality team like Motherwell a goal out of nothing, really. So I was a wee bit kind of deflated at that point.
Aye, you use the word deflated, mate. That was the feeling. It was just like, oh fuck, here we go again. What have we done now? Like you said, with the short roll across the line, we had Benji Negrin with a chance, couldn't get it under control. Few headers, few other wee chances of guys getting in behind, but I feel like we're trying to walk the ball into the back of the net at some points as well. And you just think, you know what, their keeper's going to have a worldie here. It's going to be one of the days. Well, how wrong was I? 6 minutes it took us. Celtic get the wee bit between the teeth. They get that resilience. They show the heart to get back into it. And for me, mate, the quick response, Benji Negrin pressing. I think Tierney has a cross into the box. It's deflected. It's headed back out towards him. Played about in the box. Benji Negrin presses, gets to the ball first before the defender at the byline, tries to ping it across to the penalty box. Keeper kind of saves it, palms it out, and it falls to the feet of Yang. And do you know what, mate? He's got two defenders closing in on him, like you said earlier when we spoke about this. And there's a defender on the line as well. So there's pretty much a gap about this where he can hit that. It's got to be right in the corner. And do you know what, mate? fantastic finish by Yang, and that's a response that you're going to expect, and that's what champions do. They respond as fast as that. We get results by responding to teams like that, because if you don't react like that, Motherwell get the mentality again. They get the foothold in the ball. They try and defend. They try and keep the ball like they were trying to do. We pressed straight away, got the goal back, and listen, fantastic finish. Shoot in for there, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, again, talking about the Yang finish. So as you say, keeper gets a hand to it, it comes out, and the first thing I see is the two Motherwell defenders like absolutely converging on the ball. Yang's coming through the middle, and again, power and accuracy to make sure I know where I want this ball to be. I see the gap in close to the post. Now, he's also got to be thinking half a mind here. One of these defenders is either going to get across here or, is going to block it or whatever. Yeah. But he keeps his eye on it. He keeps it low, power, accuracy, bang, great finish. Given the fact that he was under a bit of pressure from the two Motherwell defenders trying to close him down.
Yeah, that's it, mate. And he seems to be the guy who's stepping up for us. He's our top scorer from our attacking line, as your man's put in there. And other than Benji England, Yang's a man who's getting up there and he's getting the goals in. He seems to be doing a fair bit. So, listen, absolutely fantastic. And that was the kind of the end of the first half. And to be fair, mate, going into it, I was quite relieved it was still one each. Obviously, after conceding the goal and going, right, here we go, because, like you said, it did kind of deflate us a wee bit. But obviously, the players going in there at half time, one each. Martin's doing what Martin does. He's giving a team talking. He'll make the players feel 10 foot tall. You've got back into the game. Listen to the fans, listen to the crowd. You know exactly what you need to do. He makes one change as well. He brings Big Thomas Chinchara on for Sebastian Senetke.
Yeah.
So obviously Big Tam's going to go centre forward. That means Dyson's moving out to the left-hand side. Was that the right change at that moment for you?
Well, the thing that had concerned me a wee bit was Ox's yellow card. Because I thought John Beaton would have been having his eye on him and thinking, my next opportunity to get you another card and get you off would have been exactly, what we didn't need. Having clawed myself back into the game, I thought a sensible change would have been Ox off. But, again, what do I know? Martin made a completely different change, brought Big Thomas on. I thought Dyson had done really well in the first half in terms of him pressing. He wasn't letting Motherwell play it out, although they were playing it out. Again, I go back to a text I put on our chat at half time, and I was like, is the style of Motherwell football is that they always seem to have this extra man, regardless of where the ball is on the pitch. There's always some guy who's standing in that bit of space waiting for an easy pass. And I know sometimes during the game, they weren't afraid to put it long or whatever, but I was really concerned about the way that they were passing, as you say, especially through our midfield. And I thought Ox on a yellow, he's going to try and go in for one of these challenges, and he's going to be a wee bit late or a wee bit, more physical, or it's going to be a harder challenge than it looks, and Beaton's just waiting for a chance to send them off. But no, he decided to go for Big Tam up front, just to give us a different option, move Maida over to the left. So, as I say, Martin knows what Martin knows. And that's why he's sitting where he is, and that's why we're sitting here.
Exactly, mate. And listen, like you said about the Ox on the yellow, and I felt every time he went in for a tackle, I don't know about him, mate, but my heart was in my mouth.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you're just waiting on a ref to just call it. All it takes is a stupid wee yellow One wee daft decision. It doesn't need to be a straight red here. One more yellow and VAR can't even overturn it. So
exactly,
it's one of the ones, mate, where your heart's in your mouth every single time he goes in for one. And he gives away a free kick on the edge of the box as well.
Yeah.
At one point, and you're just thinking, oh, here we go, he's off. What's going on here? But we're fortunate we get to keep him on the park.
Yeah.
And like you said, I was quite surprised that he lasted as long as he did because he was on that early yellow. And when the change was coming, I thought, big time for Ox. Can he be? Surely? But obviously, it was Tenecki and Dyson moved across. With an early shot for distance from your man's side from Motherwell. Cracking shot. And listen, Vijalis Sinisalo again, proving why he is cementing that spot. Absolutely fantastic save. Palms out towards Kieran Tierney. We get rid of the ball. We drive forward. We start to put Motherwell under a wee bit more pressure. And
very positive.
It starts very positive, mate. You've nailed it there. And you're looking at it. The ball's coming across and we're getting chances crossed into the box. And Benji Nigrin gets another one on the edge of the box as well, where it cracks it, takes a deflection, and it comes off the post.
Off the bottom of the post.
And it's another one of the ones a game you're sitting thinking, geez, we've hit the post twice. We've had a ball roll across the line, and is it going to be one of these days? Is it
you're sitting there with the fingers crossed and everything,
Aye. And I was quite scared at some points there as well. Then we seen another change. Benji Nigrin comes off the park and Luke McCowan comes on. I'm sitting thinking, is that the right choice to make here? Because obviously Nigrin scores a lot of goals. He's your man. He's always in the right position. Don't know what Luke McCowan's going to bring there. Is he going to bring that same driving force, that same vision where he's going to be in the right place at the right time? And I want to get your kind of thoughts on what was there, and then Ox still being on the park at that point again as well. Do you know what I mean? So you're taking off one of the midfielders, bringing on Luke McCowan.
Yeah.
And I thought, what about the Ox? He's still there. Do you know what I mean? It was a strange one, was it not?
Yeah, for me it was
a strange one. So,
yeah, as you say, again, I'm kind of looking at it, and again, I think Ox had not quite a challenge, but there was a kind of coming together with one of the Motherwell players just before that, and again, you're kind of thinking and saying, even if the ref's going to say it's for persistent fouling or whatever, so again, I thought Luke coming on was probably going to be maybe he's going to sit behind and let Rio push a wee bit forward.
Yeah.
And that seemed to free up Rio. Again, it's one of these ones with Benji that when you're desperately needing a goal and you see him coming off the park, you've got to look and say, really, if you know that he's the kind of the best option of scrambling you a goal, you kind of scratch the head a wee bit. But as it turned out, again, Martin got it absolutely right. McCowan, I thought, was he was involved in the game without anything spectacular. But I think the biggest thing was that he allowed Rio to kind of concentrate on moving the ball forward that bit quicker and looking for other passes. So, again, you've got to go and say, Martin did make the right decision to keep the Ox on, because he was still pinging some passes about here, there and everywhere as well. So definitely, again, the second change was, kind of better than kind of what we were thinking when we saw the substitution being made. As I say, Luke was involved in the play. Nothing too spectacular, but sometimes that's what you need. You let other guys go and do the fancy stuff, and you're the guy who just does the basics, get the ball, move it on quickly.
Yeah, that's it.
And that was it. So yeah, definitely second substitution was warranted. And worked out, definitely.
Aye. No, listen, mate, you're spot on. I don't know what's happening with my signal there. It was a wee bit off. I'm sorry about that. Yang started driving forward a lot more when like McCowan come on as well. I think it freed up a lot of positioning for him. He's driving forward at one point. He has a shot, good save, wins a corner. Luke McCowan's taking that corner, and the resulting from that corner is the Thomas Vanchala goal. So the corner gets swung into the box. The big defender is on Dyson Maida. He's dragging him to the side, and I think he pulls him away from a header. A header that I do think if Dyson's getting on target, Steve will say that in the chat as well. I think Dyson's putting it wide. But listen, I will take it. For you, Stevie, is it a penalty, number one? And number two, is it a red card? Is it the denial of a goal scoring opportunity?
I think I wasn't convinced it was a penalty straight away. When you see it in kind of real time, Dyson is very low to the ground. I appreciate that the ball comes up and over, and everybody misses it. You know, the Motherwell keeper comes out to try and punch it, and it even goes over the top of him, but then comes down at a steep angle. So it's not as if, you know, Dyson's at normal height to try and get a header on it. He is very low to the ground, but when you see the kind of the replays, and in fact, it was actually somebody put up it's obviously been a still photograph from one of the press guys at the back, and you see the Motherwell player with his hand, you know, right round Dyson, and I think that's what, you know, it's. We talk a lot about how there's a lot of this actually happens in the box, both when you're attacking and defending, and a lot of players get away with the amount of contact they're making. Longello wasn't looking at the ball. That's the thing. You know, as I say, when you see it in real time, first of all, you're thinking, right, okay, he's going to get away with this here. But then when you see it slowed down, and as I say, especially when it starts to look at from the different angles, then you can see, yeah, I mean, he's got him virtually kind of round about the rib cage. He's not looking, so that the Motherwell player's not looking at the ball in any way. So it's got to be at least a penalty. The red card, I was a bit surprised, I'll be honest, because it's not as if it's if Dyson had been in the centre of the goal and thinking any contact and that ball goes over the line, but from where he was, he's got to try and do a bit to get it back on. I'll take it every single day of the week, because it was the kind of pivotal point that pushed us on to eventually win the game. But yeah, the penalty, absolutely correct decision. Although again, John Beaton was absolutely spitting that he get called over to VAR. He was never given it. His initial reaction was, goal kick to Motherwell, let's just play on. Yeah. You see him running away, and within seconds, VAR are in his ear, and he's like, no, I don't want it dragged over.
Don't make me look at this telly. Don't make me do it.
You know, as I say, I think at that point, you know, having seen it, he couldn't have done anything else. But as I say, I was surprised at the red card. But you know, we've seen them giving, we've seen them not giving. You know, you kind of look for a bit of consistency in these things. So I was a bit surprised, but penalty given, and Big Tam, the hero of Ibrox, steps up
and buries it. Yeah, listen, and like smell the glove in there. He's saying in the comments as well, even by Stephen Craigan said it was a penalty. So that's when you know that you're shooting, and it was a stone waller, we'll say. Yeah. Fantastic cross for McCowan, like you said. Dyson's getting on the end of it. I think he's putting it wide, but like you said, the defender's all over the back of him. He's dragged him down. It's a penalty. Yeah, the red card. I'm with you. I think it is a bit harsh. I think if it happens for you, and that's given against you, I think you do feel a wee bit hard done by. Yeah. But listen, I was happy it happened, and I think it evened it up a wee bit. Like you said, Motherwell always seemed like they had an extra man, so that kind of probably evened up the game at that point. Upstake Big Tam Vanchala, and puts it straight down the middle. Loads of confidence, runs away, takes the adulation of the Celtic crowd, and nice to see that happening. Nice to see the big man having the confidence to step up there after his goal to put Rangers out of the Scottish Cup as well. So that's always a good thing, mate. After that, kind of 78 minutes, we've seen some more changes. Donovan looked like he took a wee bit of a knock. So obviously we've seen Tony Ralston coming on there, and we've seen Tierney go off for Marcelo Saracchi as well. So a change both at left back and at right back. And I think you said before when we spoke, it only took Tony Ralston about 5 minutes to get booked, was it?
4 minutes. 4 minutes. Came on in 78 and booked in 82 for a challenge he's got to make. Unfortunately, but kind of balls loose. I think I was watching on telly. In the commentary, I think it was Peter Grant was saying if he doesn't make that tackle, then the crowd would be right on him. And that's it. It was a reasonably physical challenge. It wasn't like nasty or anything like that, but it was what you would class as a strong challenge. Yellow card was probably he didn't complain about it when he was walking away. So kind of fair enough.
About Bricky's just like any bother, mate. That's fine. Fine. He took it well.
Absolutely.
I think when Tony Ralston came on, he done an okay job. He got in the face in the Motherwell forwards, and he was decent driving forward. Marcelo Saracchi again, I think, brings you another dimension of what Kieran Tierney gives as well, and he's not scared to come inside and help the midfield, which I enjoy watching. He did get involved a wee bit as well, and we'll come down Tierney. Played the ball through towards Dyson Maida, and he's clean through on the goalkeeper. The keeper's out fast, but I think Dyson's got to react that wee bit quicker, mate. I'm putting it down as a bad miss. I don't know about yourself, and I don't know what you're saying in the comments there. Does it go down as a bad miss or a good save? You tell me.
Well, let me. I know you should never answer a question with a question. But see if it was Casper that was out quick, making himself big and makes that save, would you say that was a fantastic save?
I probably would, if Casper comes out and spreads himself like his dad used to. Yeah. Probably would.
I mean, that's the thing. No criticism of Dyson. Again, it's one of these ones where it's a very good kind of cushioned pass into his path.
Mm-hmm.
I think if it was a wee bit closer to him and he wasn't stretching as much, he would have maybe got a bit of a different direction on it. But again, you've got to give the well keeper props. He comes out, he's not got a lot of time to react. He's very quick to close it down. He just makes himself big and it comes off him and the save is made. So a good passing move again. We've got the kind of bit between our teeth at this point. And don't get me wrong, I mean, even down to 10 men, Motherwell were still making a very good game of it. They were passing the ball about well. They didn't seem to be, they didn't look as if they were like, totally, we're under pressure here, we're panicking. They were still playing some decent football, but the chances that we were making were starting to come a wee bit more regularly and a wee bit kind of better in terms of the types of chances, kind of one-on-ones with the keeper and stuff like that. So Dyson, I think, on another day that goes past the keeper, but you've got to give props to is it Ward, the Motherwell keeper's name is. He's out very quick and he just spreads himself and manages to save it. So definitely fair play to him.
Aye, I want to bring this up. Obviously, Smell the Gloves probably came in a wee bit later. We spoke about this at the start, mate, when we had the team lineups up there. Julien Araujo's wife gave birth to a little boy at the weekend as well. So that was why he was missing for the squad, mate. So he was away on paternity leave. I hope he get more pay than what us regular guys get, because it's quite tough to live on paternity pay, innit? That's my wee gripe. But yeah, we kind of kick on for there, mate. We start to press that wee bit more. We start to see more chances, and the extra man, I think, starts to show near the end. We get a ball played over the top towards big Thomas Vanchara. He's backing in as he does. Doesn't hit the deck this time, manages to hold himself up. Doesn't get anything on the ball, but it bounces over into the path of Yang. Takes it under control, mate. and what a finish. What a way to win the game. Puts it into the bottom corner, and somebody had said in the comments earlier on, I don't know who it was, Yang's bird must be back in town, because you know what? That's the best performance I've seen for the wee guy. And we've even, you see the tagline there, the Youngsters Paradise. What a player. What a game. Get the T-shirts made. Get the Yang Gang back in operation. We're in, mate. I'm all in on the wee man now. That's it. We need him to follow up now. We need to see more from him. We need to see more performances like that.
Yeah, well, going back to your question about the kind of Luke McCowan substitution,
yes,
I think with Luke coming on, there was that ability for him to for Luke McCowan to go out wide and for Yang to come into the middle on occasion. You know, the two of them were kind of, you know, you had that flexibility. Okay, yeah, Motherwell were down to 10 at this point, but you know, that was the thing. You know, it was a good run. Yang was right in the centre. Now we've been saying on numerous podcasts about how to best utilise Big Tam. You know, is to have somebody playing off him. We've talked about, should he play forward as part of a kind of two up front, for him to go and win balls in the air, knock them on, for somebody to then run onto them. And as you say, okay, he goes up for that ball yesterday. He does. It's both.
Wait a second, I'll refresh this.
Sorry about that. I don't know, 50 pence in the meter.
No, I don't know what's happening, mate. My Wi-Fi seemed to cut off there.
That's all right, not a problem.
I caught the start of what you were saying there, obviously, with Yang pushing forward and stuff, mate. And I said we showed great resilience. We showed that we've got what it takes to drag games back, to get games over the line, especially going behind early doors. We reacted quickly, we got it even, and we pushed on at that moment. I thought Motherwell towards the end started the kind of petty shit. They started to hit the deck, and they started to kind of try and play on the ref and kind of go down to that kind of route, mate. And I kind of got on my tits a wee bit, but I'm glad we got it over the line, because this for me was the biggest result in our running.
It's the biggest, definitely the biggest hurdle until we hit the split. You know, because again, I think Motherwell will still have a lot to say in this title running. You know, as I say, when they've got 11 guys on the park, they play some wonderful football. Mashwinishi, I thought, you know, somebody put on the comment earlier, the back four are looking so comfortable these days, you know, after a dodgy couple of weeks. I think we marshalled him very well. I only remember him kind of having one kind of half chance, and the boy side, as you say, having the shot. But I think, you know, we controlled their attacking options very well. Nothing they could do about the goal, as I say, if you don't give the ball away that easily. But yeah, as you say, there's a lot in there. 8 games now to keep the momentum going, and then, you know, let's see what happens in other games and how other results go.
Yeah, mate, that's it. And listen, you mentioned other results, because we're going to need other results to go in our favour in order to get this title across the line. It just so happens that last night results did go in our favour. Hearts, top of the league, playing against Killie, relegation fodder, down on that stinking plastic pitch that everybody hates to go to. And Killie managed to sneak the win. Now, I've watched Derek McInnes's interview, and if you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's nice. I enjoyed it. Bottle up that man's tears. I will drink every single one of them. Honestly, absolutely brilliant. Always cheated, never defeated. You weren't good enough on the night. It's as simple as that, Derek. You've shit the bed. Your bubbles burst. Celtic are coming, mate. Can you see us now?
Yeah, I mean, this is, as you say, this is a championship winning mentality that we have now. We're nowhere near the quality that we have been in previous champion winning seasons. Everybody knows that. It's quite obvious, regardless of the injuries. But the Martin effect, may he be forever blessed, as we say. The mentality of grinding out, keeping these performances going. 3 points on the board, move on. 3 points on the board, move on. That's literally, as the games get fewer and fewer now. We spoke a couple of weeks and we were, however many points behind, and we said we just need to keep the momentum going. Brendan's comment, this is the time where the Celtic mentality kicks in. This is where we're at our best in terms of resilience and character. So, long may that continue.
Yeah, absolutely spot on, mate. And as McLaughlin puts in the chat here as well, if Dundee beat Hearts next weekend, we could go top. How's that for 86 nostalgia? Talking about 86 nostalgia, mate, as I said before, we were lucky enough to host an event with Murdo MacLeod there at the weekend, and I brought it up to Murdo. I says to him, this is get the kind of Love Street vibes all over it again. It's going to come down to the kind of latter stages of this season. I hope it doesn't come down to the last day. That'd be absolute carnage. Chaos, you imagine it. But we've seen it previously. We've seen it in my lifetime. We've seen it, like you said, in 86 there as well. And I asked Murdo if he thought this team had the resilience in the bottle to actually go forward and do this. And he said it's going to take getting some players back. And he mentioned Callum McGregor, James Forrest, Kieran Tierney, serial winners, guys who have got that bit and there to grab the foreigners in the squad and get them involved and make them understand that Celtic should not get beat at Celtic Park. And when you go away, our fans command that we go all in. And that's what we're trying to get at. Murdo was famous for saying this as well. And it came down to the 10 men win the league season when he was interviewed and he says, it's all right, we'll win every game for here on in. And Celtic ended up doing that. They went on and they didn't win. They won 8 games and drew 2, but it was enough to get the title across the line. And like you said, we're coming into that latter bit of the season, and this is where we come good, isn't it?
Yeah, and on the opposite side of that as well, because you need to be honest. Hearts have had a wonderful season, coming from where they were last season. They've recruited well. They're playing good football. They are where they are for a reason. But this is where pressure starts to tell. The points that they have dropped are points that they shouldn't really, if they were judging themselves, they would say, that's a game we shouldn't have lost last night. Derek McInnes, again, as you say, his own interview, and he says, when I was the Kilmarnock manager, everybody complained about our pitch. Well, now you're coming with Hearts to play at Rugby Park, and you're trying to blame the pitch. If you don't know what the pitch is like, and Hearts had, they had a couple of chances, but they didn't look as if a team that were these are definitely the best team. They're obviously top of the league, but you wouldn't have said they're the best team in this league. Kilmarnock, I thought, were reasonably comfortable throughout the game. So but for us, as you say, every home game is so important. You mentioned the atmosphere yesterday, and bearing in mind there's a chunk of the support that still aren't allowed in, but it was much more vocal yesterday, and this is how it's all going to come together. Everybody needs to get behind the team. Other stuff, time and a place to deal with that, but we just need to chip away. Hopefully come next weekend, again, who knows, but it might be the weekend after that weekend. All we care is last week of the season, we're the ones that are number one on that league table.
Exactly, mate. Bring on 5 in a row. like you said, it's going to come down to us performing well and results for elsewhere. Even if we win all our games for here on in, we win the league. It's as simple as that, because we've still got to play Hearts at Celtic Park. We've still got to play the Baddies at Celtic Park as well. So it's in our hands, and that's the way I'm kind of looking at it, mate. You mentioned the chunk of support that's missing. Everybody's aware that the Green Brigade have been shut out by Celtic. We've seen the interview coming out as well by Brian Wilson there, and he talks about that. He kind of villainises the police in his interview as well, which I thought was quite strange. He's got to be getting on board with Police Scotland there for any kind of backlash from what happened at Ibrox. I don't think that done any favours for the Green Brigade or for any section of our fan base, or for us even getting the allocation back at Ibrox. But there have been chats between Mr. Wilson and the Green Brigade, and as far as I'm aware, it's coming down to a few little things that they're not agreeing on. So they will sit down again. They will try and get this resolved, and I hope they do. I hope they get it resolved as quick as possible, because we need to have that extra support. You might not like what the Green Brigade bring all the time, or all of the other things that kind of come with them, but you know what? Let's be completely honest. What they bring to the stadium on a match day, when it comes to noise, when it comes to banners and everything else, it's fantastic, and we need to have that, especially for these big games. I'm talking about Hearts coming to Celtic Park, Rangers coming to Celtic Park. We need to have that in there, mate. Do you agree?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, 100%. My big thing, as you say, the Green Brigade. What I mean, for me, I need to make this clear. Okay, everybody talks about the Green Brigade. Okay, but you cannot have the Green Brigade treated as one entity. There are individuals, very sensible and very mature individuals in the Green Brigade. What the club have done is it's a collective punishment, and a lot of those guys are not guilty of anything at all. The same as when they were talking about Ibrox last weekend, and everybody said, "Oh, the Celtic support." So basically what they're saying is everybody who was in the Broomloan stand is all tarred with the same brush. And that's wrong. That's the wrong part for me. Yes, there was people coming in through the fire escape, likely without tickets. Yep, that's on social media. You can see that video. Yeah. There was damage caused in the toilets. Yeah. There was damage caused to seats, although some of the video evidence is from the other end of the stadium. And then there was the thing about the graffiti mocking the victims of the Irish disaster. Nobody here is going to stand and say any of that is acceptable, particularly the graffiti part of it. But if you were a fan in that Broomloan stand and you're getting tarred with that same brush, then that's where it's wrong. Yes, there are elements within the support that kind of have this attitude of, we know what the rules are, but we'll just do as we like, as every club have. You know what I mean? So if you commit the crime, you fly with the crows. If you commit a crime, then you deserve to be punished for it. But collectively, when you talk about the Green Brigade or any chunk of the support, you need to be very careful and say, we want to root out the wrongdoers, but we don't want the whole section to be punished for the actions of a few or a minority of that group. So they definitely do. They have things that they need to compromise on as well. That I think there was statements earlier in the season about certain demands that they had made. If you're wanting back into the grounds, you need to be careful about what you're demanding. So they should have continued these conversations, compromise. If there's anything that you can't agree on, then obviously you need to look and say what those are. But atmosphere wise, you need to have as many of the support in at your home games as you can, especially with the kind of, as you say, we've still to play Rangers at Parkhead, we've still to play Hearts at Parkhead. You need noise and you need that kind of 12th man element back for these games. Be very, very important.
100%, mate. And listen, you're talking about these things that happened inside the stadium at the Broomloan stand. I remember being at the Celtic Barcelona game when we beat them 2-1 And I think came out not long after, and it was saying, see your photo from your seat. And it was the image of everyone basically in that stadium sitting at their seat. And they had this obviously because they have so many cameras everywhere in the stadium. Surely they've got that at Ibrox, mate. So the people who are responsible for doing these things should be highlighted and dealt with personally. I don't agree with this whole 5 of the Crows get shot with the Crows, because that's what's happened with the Green Brigade. The actions of 5 individuals have caused a full stand to get banned. And I don't agree with that. I don't agree with this collective punishment. And that's the bit that's really getting me. And I think that's the bit that's eating into a lot of the Celtic fan base at the minute, is this collective punishment. And that's why we are demanding that little bit better. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that. Going forward with it, mate. There's Steve-O. Steve-O's in the chat here, guys. He's saying he would ban us too. At least we're on here, mate, and we didn't hide away for the football yesterday to take our mothers out for meals and whatever else. So we sat and watched it.
He could have still watched it in his phone.
He could have. I know he probably did. Let's be honest. He probably had the phone under the table or taped to somebody's head, something like that.
Well, he was still certainly commenting on the updates that we were putting on, so he must have managed to catch a wee bit of it. But if I'm going to fight that ban, Steve-O, I'm going to fight that ban. I'm going to put up a kind of protest and see just exactly why we're being banned.
A wee Baldy Brothers collective group here. We'll get everybody in the chat involved, and we'll get a wee protest against Steve-O here.
Up the Baldies.
Up the Baldies, definitely, mate. We're talking about results elsewhere as well, and obviously Hearts dropping points is massive for us. Puts us 2 points behind them. One win, and we're above them. Rangers had a win today. I didn't watch the game, Stevie. I believe you managed to catch some of it.
I went to visit my mother for Mother's Day. Kept it to today away from. So the kind of game was on the channel. There was no commentary on. They didn't look particularly impressive, I have to say. As I say, I was only kind of catching it every now and again. The goal that St.Mirren conceded was actually very similar to the goal that Hearts conceded last night. It was basically just a kind of diagonal ball into the box, and it's the last kind of defender, the fullback, who I don't know whether he thinks it's going to bounce through and go past, but he just leaves Romans, the Rangers left back, to come in and basically prod it over the line at the back post. So other than that, I don't think they really created too much that would have me, worry about, any kind of huge. They weren't impressive at all. And as I say, if they come up, like we mentioned, a team like Motherwell, who are very good at passing the ball around, I think they could. All the teams, I think, have the chance of dropping points in these last 8 games, ourselves included. But yeah, there wasn't anything in today's game that I was particularly impressed with. St Mirren are just very, very poor team.
Yeah, that's it. Listen, and Kennedy comes in here as well with a comment on St Mirren just can't score goals. That's the problem, mate. And that's it. They're one of these sides, mate. If they could score, they would probably put 2 past that team today. So, listen, mate, it's coming down to, like you said, this latter stage of the season. Hearts are dropping points straight away. Rangers they've won that game. They've got it across the line, but performed poor against a very, very poor St Mirren side. Yeah. And Celtic are scudding the informed team Motherwell 3-1, albeit with a penalty in there and a red card that we'll debate a little bit. But we're the informed team now, surely. We've got to press on.
I mean, I think, you look at, obviously, we lost to Hibs a couple of weeks ago. That was due to us getting the red card, the Austin one. So, yeah, it's mentality. As we say, it's character, it's resilience. It's not quality that's going to win us this league if we do eventually do. And as I say, I've got my fingers crossed that everything's looking rosy. But yeah, in terms of an overall weekend, I don't think we could have asked for very much more in terms of positivity. My blood pressure was never really at a stretch the way it has been the last couple of weekends. So, it's on to next week. We've got another clear 6 days to let some of the injuries settle down. Good news from Martin in the was it Friday, where he came out and said that the Callum McGregor one wasn't the kind of calf injury that they feared it might have been. So hopefully he might be available for next week's game. Again, fingers crossed. And Engels coming along, he might be a wee bit longer in terms of his recovery. But again, all these guys that are going to be coming back, we'll have Mad Mexican Julio once he's had a couple of sleepless nights with his new baba, and then get him back into the fold for next week's game. And I think, if I remember rightly, for next week's fixtures, we play again on. Just having a look at this here. So next Saturday. So we play on Sunday. So Hearts play Dundee at 3:00. Rangers play Aberdeen. Now that, as we've heard in previous seasons, Aberdeen only really raised their game to play Rangers.
Yeah.
New manager Stephen Robinson in there, taking his team to Ibrox.
That new manager bounce.
Absolutely. They got a kind of unexpected draw against again Falkirk, who have been very impressive this season. So yeah, Aberdeen could certainly do us a favour, and then we're obviously away to Dundee United next Sunday. So yeah, all to play for. 2 points behind, 8 teams to go, but we certainly seem to have more momentum than any of our closest rivals at the minute.
Yeah, that's it, mate. I'll maybe get wee Beth Wallace, the Aberdeen fan, who I had on as well, for a chat of the upcoming game against Rangers, and see what their thoughts are on that, because I did mention to her that Aberdeen seemed to up their game for playing against Rangers anyway. That's one of the ones that she had commented on. You says there as well, having Julien Araujo back after not having much sleep. As Steve-O commented before there, mate, he'll be getting more sleep than Derek McInnes. I think he's down to 14 minutes a night this time now, so get it round you, Derek. It's all good, mate. Listen, we wish Julien Araujo and his missus all the best. Listen, guys, we've gone well over the hour now. We've got over 110s in the chat here on YouTube, and all of you guys been involved in TikTok as well, which I really appreciate. Again, thank you so much for joining us to discuss the game at the weekend. Please, as I said before, hit the like and subscribe button on our YouTube channel. If you're following us on TikTok, get across now. We still do not have as many followers as what we do people watching. Steve will show the analytics on here before, guys. What are you waiting for? It doesn't cost you a penny. It helps us. It helps boost the channel. It helps with analytics and all of that other kind of stuff. We really, really do appreciate all the support on here, guys. We're a massive growing family, and it's so good to have you all involved. So, as always, guys, thank you so much for all the kind support. And Stevie, take it away.
Hail, hail.
All the best, guys. And again,